Hope everybody is doing great. I'm Gauri and I will be your host and speaker for today. Now, I would like to firstly welcome you all to an incredible session organized by GDSC, that is WebX. Firstly, we will get into our agenda. So, we will learn about what is web, why web, what are the technologies that are used in web, diving deep in web, and then get our hands dirty with some hands-on session. So, let me introduce you to our speakers. So, I will be your host and speaker for today, who will walk you through an information and theoretical knowledge that you must be needing for your web development. And then we have our Umesh Sonavne, that is our technical member, and who will guide you through hands-on session. Okay. So, what is web? So, tell me, what is the first thing that comes up to your mind when you hear about web? I'm sure it must be from Google, Facebook, or Instagram. So, all these websites you see are developed by web developers through their imagination and creativity, and obviously through learning them. So, you will ask me, why should I learn web other than this? So, why should I learn web? And the simplest answer is its advantages. It has a great scope in jobs. It is the great way to express your feelings and creativity through the technology. And it is the self-learning course. You do not need any rocket science, and that's why you should learn web. So, let me walk you through the technologies that are used in web development. But before that, you need to understand what is front end and what is back end. So, front end, let me show you an example. Okay. So front end is a basically a user interface that the user see. All the websites you see on your screen are the front end. But do you know what happens behind the back? No, you don't, because that is contained in our back end and that is not visible to the user. So as you can see on the in this picture, front end is a beautiful lady that you can see on the top of the mountain, and the user can see the beautiful lady, but it doesn't know what are the databases, data organization, and clusters that happen in backend. And through backend, we are able to communicate with the website, and that is front end and backend. So I suppose you have the clear idea about what is front end and what is backend. So let us move forward. Okay, let us dive deep into what are the technologies that are used in front-end web development, and that are HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Angular, etc. Okay, so let's dive deep into what is HTML, CSS, and everything. Okay, so what is HTML? HTML is a first and most basic language that is used in web development. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. As the name suggests, it is a markup language that is used to create a basic structure of the website that we are using, and to provide a basic layout of the what will the website will look like. And we have the formal structure of HTML web page. The first line, this is the image you see is the basic structure of the any website that you see on the screen. This is contained in every website. Okay, so first line tells us what are the version of HTML we are using. Second line tells us that from here, that is from HTML tag, your HTML document will start. Then head will show what is the website that you are on, and will show what exactly server wants to show you. Then we have body, in which all the information is contained, and everything that the owner wants to show to the user, that is the Google font, and the images that you see on Instagram, that is all contained in the body tag. Then we close the body and HTML tag. Just remember that every tag we start in the HTML document needs to get ended. Okay, then we have CSS. So what is CSS? HTML fulfills our basic structure needs, but it does not provide us any styling or any attractiveness to the website, and that's why CSS comes into picture. So CSS provides various styles, alignment, framework, and everything that you need for your website to look good and effective to the user. So there are many ways to implement CSS, and that are inline, internal, and external. Inline CSS is mostly used when you want to show a single line text into your website that must be styled. And then we have internal, that is used for a little more bigger section from the inline text, inline way. And we use internal to show the bigger paragraph, to style it, and then implement it. Then we have external CSS. When you have the more bigger document in your website and you don't want to mess with the HTML code, so you create an independent CSS file, and then you link that CSS file to an to our main HTML file, and that's how you do not mess up with the structure of the HTML. Also, you get the independent file of CSS, so that you can know what are the designs and styles that are used in your in my website. So, let me show you an example of how the HTML and CSS works. So, as you can see on the screen, this is our basic HTML page that consists of the first name, last name, gender, and all the plain boxes and plain text that is not aligned properly and does not look that good. It's okay. It is validate for the most basic use, but it does not require. It does not fulfill our needs. So that's when I told you that CSS comes into picture. Now look at this image. This image contains more colors, more attractiveness, more alignment, and everything that must be included. And this is our CSS, what it does. Okay. I assume you know the difference, as you can see on the difference, and I can see too. So on the left side you can see the HTML and HTML created website, and on the right side you can see the CSS created. You can tell the difference, can't you? I'm sure you can. Okay, so let me go to Angular. So what is Angular? No, it doesn't have to do anything with maths or angles. So Angular is a basic JavaScript framework. JavaScript is basically used for interacting with the user and the website. So as you feel search on the Google, what is Angular stands for example, then you will get some answers, and that is possible through JavaScript. So JavaScript allows you to communicate between front end and back end. So and the JavaScript contains many frameworks which allows a programmer to ease its life and make it more simpler for to not remember all these information, and make it simpler to implement the JavaScript, and such as in such a way that Angular is a JavaScript framework. It is component based. It contains many components such as selectors, deselectors, and etc. Then it contains libraries. It allows you to develop, build, test, and update your code while on the website. And yes, now let's get our hand dirty with some hands-on experience. And now I know it's too much theoretical knowledge, right? You need some hands-on learning. So I would like to welcome Umesh Tanamane, who will be guiding you through the hands-on session. And that's my time to you, Umesh.
Hey, welcome back, Army. My name is Umesh Sonone. Till now, we have gotten some basic information about what is HTML, what is CSS, and JavaScript as well. Now it's perfect time to make one sweet and simple project in web development. And now, for a coding purpose, we will require one text editor. So we will go with most popular one, that is VS Code. Now, as you seen on the screen, I have opened my Visual Studio Code. Now we are creating the new project, so we will go with new folder. Now for it, just click on open folder button. Okay, if this window is not visible on your system, then don't worry. On the top left side there is option file. Just click on it, then open folder, then simply create new one. I am creating new folder and giving the name GDSC web project. After creating the folder, just open it. Okay, now you can see that folder is now open in the Visual Studio Code. Now we are making the web development project. Then obviously we need the HTML file. So we have to create first that. Now how to create new file? Now here you can see the folder name. In the right side of that there are some options. The first option is for to create new file. Just click on it and give the name for new file. I'm giving the name index.html. Okay. Now I have given the name index.html. The file name ends with .html because the .html is the extension of HTML file. It's like your PDF documents. The PDF file name it's end with .pdf because .pdf is the extension of that PDF files. Similarly, in HTML, .html is the extension of uh, HTML. So the HTML file name ends with .html. Okay. Then now we will type some lines of code in the HTML. Now there is a shortcut in VS Code for it. Just type exclamatory mark and then press enter. Now here you can see the some lines of code. This is nothing but the boilerplate. Now what is boilerplate? The boilerplate means the some part of that code will be same in the every file. It means that if you see any HTML file on the internet, this part of these lines of code will be same in there, and we will type our code under the and in a body tag. Okay, I am giving you one example. I am typing here h1, then hello guys. Okay, I have typed here one line here h1 hello guys. Okay, now what is that h1? H means heading and 1 is indicating the size of that text, means that title. The H is used for the title and 1 is indicating the size of that title. You can give the size in between 1 to 6, means h1 you will be use h1 tag for a larger title and H6 for most smaller title. According to your need, you can give the H1, H2 or H6 in between them. Okay. Now the output of that HTML file, we can see it on the browser. Now how to see it? For it, we will require to install one extension. For it, just click on the extension tab. Now I have installed that extension there, that is live server. Now on your system you have to search here, just type live server. Okay, now here you can see the first one is a live server. Just click on it. Then after you can on your system it will be show you the install button. Just install it. After installing, restart your VS Code and then open that HTML file again. After it, in the bottom you can see there is option go live. Just click on it. Okay, you can see on the browser the new tab is open and the output of that HTML file we can see here. Okay, now it showing the output hello guys. Okay, now that's all about the HTML. Now we have to give the some CSS properties to the output of that HTML. So how to give it? Okay, for it, just go in the again RVS code. Okay, now for the CSS, we have to create another file for CSS as like we have already created one file for the HTML. Now we can give the as we know we can give the CSS properties to the HTML code by three ways. Then we are using external CSS because we are making the project and it will contain the lots of line of CSS. Now to do not make the confusion between HTML and CSS, so we simply go with the new file. So I am creating new file for CSS. Now we have to follow the same step. I am giving the name style.css. Okay. Now after creating new file, that file is now open in the uh, new tab in the VS Code. Okay. Now how to give the CSS properties? Okay. In HTML code we have used here h1 tag. So we will give the CSS properties to the that h1 tag. I am just typing in the CSS file h1, then in curly bracket we have to provide the CSS properties to that title. For a title we have used h1 tag in HTML. So now we have to change that the color of that title into a red because you can see that we can see the title color is in the black. So we will change is into the red. So how to change it? So simply give the CSS properties as color red. Okay. Now we have given the CSS properties to the h1 tag, means for that title red, but it not reflecting on my the output of that HTML file. So what happened? Okay, now we have created another file for CSS, but we have not linked that CSS file into that HTML file. So first we have to link it. So for it, in a head tag, we will add one line here, link, because we are linking that CSS file. Then what we are linking? We are linking style sheet. Then simply type your style sheet. Then now there are lots of CSS file in our system. Then our HTML code, how to know that which CSS file I have to use. So we have to give the path of that CSS file. So for it, I will be type here href, then provide the path of that CSS file. Now that our CSS file is style.css, which is stored in same folder. So simply I will be give the their name only. I'm just typing here style.css. Now the VS Code is asking you, are you looking for style.css? Yes, we are looking for it. Just press enter and select it. Then close that arrow bracket. Now you can see on the browser the hello guys text is changed to red. Okay, that's about the HTML and CSS. Now if you notice, there is some margin at the top and left side of that hello guys. It's like a margin, like your notebook pages, there is some margin at the top, some margin at the left side, but we do not want that. We want an entire page. So we will first initialize that initial margin and padding as 0. So let's come in the VS Code in style.css. Now we are giving the CSS properties to the entire page. So we will just type here a star. Now we are selected the entire page. Then give the margin as 0. And also we will provide the padding as 0. Okay, you can see now there is no margin at the on the all sides of that hello guys text. Okay, now what's about our project? Now we have to create multi-step form, and that form will be appears at the center. Okay, before it, I want to show you one more CSS properties. Now I want to change the background of entire page. Now how to change it? Okay, I have to give the in the background one image. So I will be show you how to add image in the background. So let's come in the VS Code. Okay. If you notice, if anything we are typing our code that's shown on the screen in the, if any code that we are typing in the body tag, that's showing on the browser. So if we are giving the background CSS properties, that properties we have to give for that body tag. So in style.css, we will give the CSS property to the body, type here body, and then in curly bracket we will provide the CSS properties. Now in a background we have to add one image. So I will be just type here background image, then URL. Now in URL we have to provide the path of that image that we have to add here. So first, now let's come in the our file explorer. I have already downloaded that image that I want to give in the background. This is that image. I'm just copy that, and I will be paste it in the our project folder. Okay. Now you can see after storing that image file in the our project folder, that image file name it is showing in the VS Code. Now we will just give the name of that file, uh, banner.jpg. Okay. Now you can see on the browser the image file is appears on the background, but there is one issue. The image is appears multiple times on the page. We do not want that. We want a single image, and that will be show like on the full screen as a cover. So we will be give the background size as a cover. Let's go in the CSS file and give CSS property as background 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 size as a cover. Now you can see there is now only one image here, but that image is not looking good. So we will give the position of that image as a center. Then the okay, let's see. Okay, we have to give the background position. We will give the background position as a center. Now here we go. That image is now looks good. Okay. Now let's come on the topic. We have to create the project. We will create the multi-step form, and that will be appears at the center. For it, we will create another one first. We will create first container, and we will give the some CSS properties to that. Now that will be appear at the center. First, we will remove that hello guys code because we do not need it. We will also remove that their CSS properties and also that hello guys code. Okay, we have to create one container. For it, we will use the div tag and giving the class name as a container. Okay, now I have created one container, but you can see on the browser it's not showing me. First, we have to give some CSS properties to it. So we will give the some CSS properties. For it, we will go in the style.css file. Now the container is a class name. So we will give the first dot, then that class name container. Then in curly bracket, we will provide the CSS properties to it. Okay, first we will give the some width and height to it. So first we will give some width. I will be give the 360 pixels. Then same height 350 pixels. Then we will give the background color for it. I will simply give the white color. Okay. Okay, there is a spelling mistake here. Div. Now you can see on the browser the one container is appears here. Now we want that container at the center. So we will give the margin from left and right side as a auto. Then that container will be appears at the center. Margin auto. Now you can see that container now appears at the center. But what about from the top? Because we want at the center, not at the uh, top side. So we will provide some margin from top side also. So for the giving the margin from the top, I will be type margin from top. I will be give the margin from top 10%. Now you can see that container now appears at the center. Okay, let's do some experiment with that container. I want to change. I want to give some border radius to it so that container will be looks good. So how to give that? For it, I will be give here a border radius. I will be give 15 pixels. Now you can see there is a border radius on the container, but it is too much more. I will be reduce it. I will be give the border radius of 5 pixels. Okay, now it's looking good now. Okay, then after now, okay, on a container, we will be add the form. So I will be give the container position as a relative. That means the anything you are adding on the on the container, the position of that content will be on or will be on the same thing. It will be not change. So I will be give the position as a relative. Position as relative. Okay. Now then after we have to create a form on that. So I will be go in the HTML file, and in a container div I will be create one form. Now to create a form, I will be type here a form, then give the ID form. Okay. Now we have created one form in which we will give some stuff like a title of that form, then some input fields because okay. For a title, I will be use H3 tag here. Then I will be give the title as a create account. I am typing here create account. Okay. Now then after I will be get some input fields. So for it I will be type here input. Then first input I will be get the email. Then I will be give the input type as a email. Then after I will also another input field. There will be the for giving getting the password from user. So I will be give the input type as a password. Okay. Now you can see there is a one container, and on that container we have created one form, and we have provided some stuff there. First there is a title, create account, then two input fields. First one for the email and second one is for the password. But as a user, I am not be able to understand that what content I have to give as a input here. So for it, I will be use the placeholder property. Okay, how to use placeholder property? Just type here placeholder and give the some placeholder text, enter the email. Then same for password, I will be provide the placeholder property, enter the password. Okay. Now you can see there is a some text here, enter the email, enter the password. Now as a user I am able to understand that I want to give the email and password as a input here. Let's see it's working or not. Okay, I'm giving here some input as a first abc at the rate gmail.com in input in email field. Then in password I'm typing some random password. Okay. Now both fields are getting the input, but if you notice, if anything I am typing in the input field in a email field, it's showing me, but in a password field if anything I am typing it not showing me. Instead of that it's showing that bullet points. But why that? Okay, this is because we have used input type as a password here. Why we are use input type as a password? Because we have used it for getting input from user as a their password. Now as a user I'm not I do not want to show my password to another user. So for a privacy purpose I will be go with the input type as a password. Okay. Now same way I will create another input field for a confirm password, because we are making the form for the create account. So another field input type will be password again. Then I will be remove that, enter, giving the placeholder as a confirm password. Okay, you can see there are three fields. First for email, second is password, and third is confirm password. Now consider as you have filled that form. Then after you have to go on the another form, because we are creating multi-step form. So for it we have to give here next button. So we will create another new field, that is a button. Okay. For it first we will now we will use the div tag and giving the class name as a btn but box. Okay. Now we have created one div, and in which we will provide the button. So for a creating button, I will be use a syntax button, then type will be again a button. Then what text you have to show on that button, I will be provide next. Okay, now you can see there is a input fields first, and then you can see here the button there. This is a next button. I'm just clicking on that. Okay, okay, we have created our first form. The having title create account, but it not looking good now, so we will give the some magic of css on that. So let's come in the css file. Okay, it's slightly confusing, so I will be just split that screen. Okay, now the first one is a container. We have already provided the css properties to the container. Then after we have created the form, so we have to provide some css properties to that form. For it, now that form comes under the container, so we will give the first class name dot container. Then that id name, we sorry, not id, it's a element, so we will type here a form. Then in curly bracket we will provide the css properties. So we will first give the some width to it. We will provide width 280 pixels. Then we will provide some margin from the top. I will be give the 50 pixels. Then same margin from the left side, 40 pixels. Then okay, now there are the some h3 tag input fields on the that form. So again, as like a container, we will give the position here. So I will be give the position here for the form as a absolute. Okay, now then after there is a title, I want to show that title at the center. So I will be give the css properties to the that title. For a title we have used h3 tag. You can see here we have used h3 tag. So I'm just typing in a css file h3, then in curly bracket give the css properties to it. So now for the to show that text at the center means that title, so I will be type here text align at the center. Okay, then after I want to change the color of that text, so I will be give the color hash triple seven. Okay, let's see. Okay, you can see now the title is looking good now with that new color. And okay, we have given some css properties to the form as well. Then after there are the input fields and buttons. We have to give the css properties to it. So first we will give the css properties to the uh, input fields. Okay, now that input fields are comes under the form. So first we have to type a form. Then we will give the CSS properties to the input. So first type form in a CSS file. Type form. Then element name. The we have used input. So just type here input. Then in curly bracket provide the CSS properties to it. So I will again give the width. I will provide the width as 100%. So just a second. Okay. Now it will be acquire that 100% width. Then after I will give the some padding to the input fields. I will give the 10 pixels from the top and 5 pixels from the left. There is a spelling mistake. Okay. Now what is padding? If you are giving padding for any element, indirectly you are giving the margin for the text that you are giving the as a input in that. Then after okay, it is enough for the input. Let's see the changes. Okay, you can see that input fields are acquired that 100% width, like as compared to previous one it's look good now. But there is one problem. Let's see what changes we can do now on the input fields. If I will remove that border of that index field, then what how it will be look like. Let's see. Let's try it. Okay. Now to remove the border, I will give the border. I will be the border 0. Now you can see there is no border showing now. But there is one problem. What is that? Okay. You are not be able to understood where the input field one is end, and second input field is now starting now. So we will give the border for the bottom now. So for giving the border in the bottom only, so just type here border. We have to give the border from bottom only, so we will type border bottom. I will give the border of 1 pixel. Then we will give the font as a solid. Then color of that border, I will be give the line. Okay. Now let's see. Okay, now it's looking good now. Then after there is a next button, so we have to give the css properties to it. Okay, there is a button box. We have created that div. First, we will give the uh, position for that div tag. Then after we will give the effect CSS effects to the button. So first, now that btn box is the class name. So first we have to type dot, then class name btn box. Then in curly bracket provide the css properties to it. So how to give this then again, like input fields, we will give the width as 100%. So I will just type here width 100%. Then I will be give the some height also, height. I will be give the 35 pixels. Then I will provide some margin. Okay, I will be give the margin from top 0, and from the left side 10 pixels. Okay, it will just a second. Okay, now that button is not looking good. Now we have to give that button at the center. So we will give the margin from left and right side as a auto. Then it will be appears at the center. Okay. Hmm, I will be change the margin. I will be give the margin from. Okay, we have to give margin from the top also, because there is no space between the input field and button. So first we will give the margin from the top 30 pixels. Then margin from left and right side auto. Then the button will be appears at the center. Let's see the output. Okay, now that buttons now appears at the center. Now now then after we have to give the css effects to the that button. Okay, for it we will be give the css properties to the button. So we will type here button, then in curly bracket. Okay. Okay, there is one problem. The button is comes under the form. So first we have to give the form here, then button, then we will provide the CSS properties to it. So first I will be give the width. I will be give the width 110 pixels. Then same height. I will be provide give the 35 pixels. Then I will be give the margin uh, 0 from the top, and give the 10 pixels from the left side. Then okay, let's see. Okay, then after I will provide some border radius. Let's give the border radius. Border radius, I am giving the border radius 30 pixels. Okay, now the radius is the border radius now looking good now. Then okay, this is the button. Now we will give the some special properties to the next button. So I will be change the background of that button. For it, I will be use the combination of two or more colors. So we will use the linear gradient property. Now what is that linear gradient? So let's Google it. I am typing here, search the linear gradient CSS background. Okay. First one is okay. Okay, there is a W3 school. Now, if you stuck anywhere or you need the reference for the development, so you can refer the W3 school for the reference for the web development. Now, the now let's see the what is linear gradient. Okay, now linear gradient is the combination of two or more colors. Now there is a syntax for it. First you have to type back linear gradient, then provide you have to provide direction, and then colors. The first color, second color, and number of colors you can use it. Okay, they have given one example, red and yellow. By default, the direction is top to bottom. Okay, now what happen? What if I want to give the linear gradient from left to right side? Now for it, we will give the direction to right. Means initially it is at the left side, then you are giving the its direction to the right side. So from left to right, the direction is there, and you have given the color as input, red and yellow. The red on the left side, and then direction is at the right side, to right side. Then on the yellow color will be appears at the right side. Okay, now this is looking good now, so I will just pick up. I will be get same linear gradient. You can use a combination of another colors also. So now it look good, so I will be go with that one. So let's go in the CSS file. Now we have to give this linear gradient property for the background. So I will be type here background, then give that CSS properties. Okay, now you can see that buttons is looking good now, but the text is there, next is not visible properly for a reading. So we will give some CSS properties to that text as well. So for it, in a button, we will change its color first. Color, we will give the simple white color. Then I want to show that text as a slightly bold, so I will be give the font weight as a bold. Just type here font weight bold. Okay, let's see. Now it's looking good now. Similarly, we can give the some properties for the padding also. Here you can see enter the email, enter the password, confirm password. So we will give the some CSS properties to that also. Now for giving the CSS properties to the placeholder, you have to type first double colon sign, then type your placeholder, then in curly bracket provide the CSS properties to it. So I will be change its placeholder text color first. I will be give the color as a black. Then I will be give the font weight as like the text of that button. I will be give the bold. Let's see. Okay, now that placeholder text is looking good now. Now then after there is no distance between the title and input fields. So we will give some space between them. For it, we will give the margin from the bottom to the title. Let's go. Okay. Now where is the H3 tag? H3 tag is used. We have used it for the title. So I will be give the uh, margin from the bottom. So how many margin we will use? I will be give the margin here. I will be provide. Okay, we have to give the margin from the bottom. So I will be type here bottom. Just select it and give the margin. I will be give the 40 pixels. Okay, now you can see now the we have created our first form and it looks good now. The form title is create account. Same way we have to create two more forms. So let's come in the HTML file. Okay, we do not need it. I'm just okay. Now this is the code for the first form. Same way we have to create another form. So I will just copy that code and again paste it. Now second form we will create will be the in second form we have to get the social links from the user. So I will be give the title as a social links, social links. Okay, then after I do not need that input type as a email or password. I am simply giving your text again and for another also text. Same for next one text. Okay, now then after first we will get the GitHub profile link from user. So I will be give type here placeholder as a GitHub. Then we will get the LinkedIn. Just type here LinkedIn. Similarly, third which will okay we will get the Stack Overflow ID. Then simply type here Stack Overflow. Okay. Now then after let's consider we have filled the first form. Then we have click on next button. Then second form is appears, that is social links. After filling it, you can click on next button. But if we want to change anything on let's consider as a user I want to change my email now, then I have to go in the previous form. So I have to provide a back button here. So I will be add here another button. So just use the syntax button. Then button type will be button. Then I will be provide the text as a back. Okay, now we have created another button that is back. Similarly, we have to create another form also. That this is that will be the last form. Now, in a third form, we will be get the personal information from the user, like their name and mobile number, etc. So I will be give the title here, personal PERS personal info. Then I will be get first their first name. So I will be give the placeholder as a first name. Then second name. Then I will be get their mobile number. Okay, let's see. Now you can see we have created three forms and that three forms are visible now. But these forms are overriding each other. We do not want that. We want only one form should be there on the page at once. So how to fix it? For it, we have to implement our logic in a JavaScript language. We will use it. So okay. Now for writing our JavaScript code in the HTML file, we have to use script tag. Okay. Okay. Before going to JavaScript, one thing I want to show that uh, we have used the different elements here, form, input types, etc., etc. But the ID of form is same. Here the form ID is form. Second, for second form also there is ID same. Now, as a human beings, the every person has a unique other ID. Similarly, every element should have unique ID. So we have given the ID for the forms. So I will be change it. For first form, I will be provide form one. For a second form, I will be give the ID as a form two, and same for form three as a form three. Okay, we have given the unique ID for each form. Now, one thing I want to show you, we can give the CSS properties to the HTML elements directly by using their ID. Now, how to use it? Let's see. Now, in our CSS file, we will just give the first give the hashtag sign, then that ID name. ID will be the form 2, because we are giving the CSS properties to the form 2. So I will be here type hash, then ID name form 2, then in curly bracket provide the CSS properties. So I will be give the margin from the left 450 pixels, and same for form 3 as well. So I am giving here hash form 3, because form 3 is the ID of third form. I will be give the margin from the left minus 450 pixels. Okay, let's see. Okay, now you can see all three forms are showing here. Now, for it initially the margin at the center will be the 0, and now for the form 2 we have given the margin from the left side as a 450 pixels. That's the reason the second form it's showing in the right side. Now, but the third form, that is the personal info, we have given the margin from the left side as a minus 450 pixels, and now it's showing in the left side. It's works like your number line. In a number line, the 0 is at the center, and on the right side of 0 there is a positive numbers, and in the left side there is a negative numbers. Now this is the 0 margin at the 0, and for a second form we have given the 450 pixels plus 450. Now from here the first 40 pixels on there is a space, you can see here this is 0, and from the margin from the left side 450 pixels the form is showing here. Now, if you're giving the minus 450 pixels, now it will be appears at the left side. Now you can see here we have given for the minus 450 pixels margin for the third form. So it appears here from in the left side as a minus 450 pixels margin. Let's change it. Okay, I'm giving it as a 450 pixels. Now you can see after giving the plus 450 pixels margin, the third form now appears at the right side. Okay, let's come in the on the JavaScript. In the JavaScript, we have to implement our logic as like after clicking on next button. The now initially the first form is showing. After filling it, the we will click on the first next button. Then first form will be disappear, and second form will be appears at the center. Then again after filling it, click on next button, then third form will be show and second form will be disappear. So how to implement our logic? Okay, for it we have we will have to require some functions. We will provide as like after clicking on that button something happening now. Now then we will use the on click event property here. So I will be use. Okay, let's do it. I'm giving here on click. Then you have to give the function name. I'm giving here next one. Okay, now why I am giving the function name as the next one, because this is the next button. So do not making the confusion. I will simply giving the next one, next two, back one, back two as a function name for now. After clicking on next button, the next one function will be called. First we have to create that function in a JavaScript. Okay, I'm creating that function. For the creating a function, you have to text function then function name, then in curly bracket we will write our code. Similarly, we will create some another function also for another buttons. First back one, back one. Same. Similarly, we will create next one and sorry next two and back two button function next to function back. Okay, we have created functions and we will give the on click event property for every button. So for a first next button we have given the next one. Then similarly for the first back one button I will be use the on click on okay on click event property as a I will provide the back two button here. Sorry, back one. Same for the next second next button on click. I will be give you next two. Now after clicking on this second next button, the next two function will be called. Same for the next. There is a on click, and we will provide back two. Same for the okay. Now form three, there is a personal info. This is last form. We are not giving the next button. Instead of that, we will give the submit button because all form are filled completely. Then we will just submit that. So I will be type here submit and same input type as a submit. Okay. Now we have first we have created three forms and then in JavaScript we have created four functions for each button. Now after filling the first form, user will be click on next button, then next one button will be called. Then after filling second form, if they have to change anything on the first form, they will be click on back button and back one button will be called. Same next two, after clicking on next two button, next two function will be called. Now in that function we will be implement our logic as like after clicking on that what should be happen. Okay, but before it, now we are manipulating the information of HTML elements. And now the HTML and JavaScript are totally different language. We are not be able to directly manipulate the HTML information in a JavaScript. First, we have to create the variables in a JavaScript. As like in another languages, first we create the variables and then we are manipulating the information that we have stored in that variables. So first we will create some variables and for creating variables type var and then give the variable name. So again, for do not making the confusion, I will be give the variable name and that id name will same. So I will be give the first variable form1. Now in form 1, we have to get the information of that form first form and we have given the unique ID for that form there, that is form 1. You can see here. Okay, this is the first form and we have given the ID for that form 1. So we will be for getting the information of that form using their ID, we have to use one syntax here. We will be use it doc just a second, document dot get element by id, then in a bracket you have to provide the id of that element. The id of that element is form1. Now and don't follow to give the semicolon in a javascript because it's like another programming language we have to give the semicolon here also. Okay, same way we will be create another variables that is form2 and for the form3 I am changing it form2 and third variable will be the form 3 and in a form 2 in a form 2 second variable form 2 we will get the information of second form, and in a form 3 variable we will get the information of third form. Okay, now that's it. We have created three forms giving the buttons and give the function for it. Now we have to implement our logic. Let's see. Okay, uh, as we see here, CSS properties using directly by ID. Same way we can give the CSS properties in JavaScript using that ID. And in JavaScript we have to implement our logic. Indirectly we are manipulating their CSS properties. So how to change it? Okay. After clicking on form one button, okay, let's see here. Now this is the first button, next one. After clicking on it, the first form should be, we will give the CSS properties as like, we will provide margin from left as a minus 450 pixels. And you know what happen if we give the minus margin in the minus. So let's do that. Okay, I will be type here first form one means ID of that element. Then we are changing their style, so just type here style. Then what CSS properties you have to give here. I want to give the margin from left, so I will be type here left. Then how much margin? Okay, just a second. Hmm. How much margin we have to give? We have to give minus 450 pixels. Then I will be type here minus 450 pixels. Same. Okay, now after clicking on next one button, the form one, the first form one, the first form will be appear at the left side. Same time the second form should be appears at the center. So we will give them margin for the second form as like form 2 dot style dot from the left side we will give the margin from the left side as a 40 pixels. Okay, let's see the changes. Okay, now this is the first button. Next, just click on it. After clicking on the first button, the form one is goes in the left side and second form is showing at the center. So same property we will be provide for the another functions. So let's, okay, now after clicking on back button, the form 2 will be goes in the right side and form 1 will be appears at the center. So for a form 1 style dot margin from the left we will give it. Okay, now after clicking on next button, the form 1 goes minus 450 pixels at the red left side. So again we will give the plus for 40 pixels. Then now the here the now just a second. Okay, after clicking on next one button, the second form is showing because we are giving the margin from left as a 40 pixels. After clicking on back button, if we want to show that um, first form at the center, we will give the uh, margin from the left side as a 40 pixels to it. And same way we will give the we want to disappear that second form, so I will be give the form 2 dot style. I will be give the margin from left side as 450 pixels, so it will be appears at the right side. Hmm, okay, let's see. Now this is first form. Then okay, now it works now. Same way we will give the CSS properties to the next two and back two functions. Let's do that. Okay, same way. Okay, I'm just copying the copy paste that code. So for now here there is a form 2 and I will be give the margin from the left side as a minus 450 pixels. Same here, it will be the form 3, and I will be give the margin from the left side as a 40 pixels. I'm just copying that code and paste it. Okay, here it will be the form 2, and I will be give the margin from the left side as a 40 pixels, and same for the form 3, I will be give the margin from the left as a 450 pixels. Let's see the changes. Okay, after clicking on next button, the second form is showing. I'm clicking on back button, we go in the first form. Same way, after clicking on the next button, the form 3 is showing, and after clicking on back button, the second form is showing now. Okay, now the buttons property are now working properly now, but there is a one problem. We want only one form to be shown there at once, so we will give the, or for it we will use overflow property. So let's do that. Okay, now we have created the forms in the container, so we will give the overflow property to the container. Now where is container? Okay, now here you can see there is a container, and we will give the CSS properties to it. Let's Now we will give the overflow property as a hidden. That's why the form will be disappears. Let's do a overflow hidden. Let's see. Okay, now other forms are disappeared. Just click on next, next. Only one form is showing now. Okay, after clicking on next button, the second form is immediately showing. But I want to use some animation here. So I will be give the some transition property I will be use here. So let's come. Okay, now we will give this says transition property to the form. I will be type here just transition, and I will be give the 1 second. Now after it, after clicking on button, now there is a some transmission time in between them, but it's showing likely stuck like that. So I will be just reduce that transition effect. I will be simply give the zero point 0.7 seconds or zero point 0.6 seconds. Let's see. Now there is some, and it looks like some animation, and it looking good now. Okay, let's give the some CSS properties to the button, because we are mostly we are using the button, so we will use some special treatment for the button. So I will be give the, okay, where is our button? Now this is the button. I will be give the I will be give the cursor property to it. Just type here cursor, and I will be give the cursor property as a pointer. Let's see. Now after, if we hover the button, it's showing me the cursor as a uh, pointer. Okay, then after there is a some border to the button, it's not looking good, so I will just remove it. So for removing the border, I will be give the border as 0. Okay, now that button is looking good now. Just okay, let's see the how our form now work now. Okay, that's it. We have created the multi-step form. This is our mini project for the front-end development that we have done with our project. That's it. Here we have created the multi-step form as a front-end project, and in which we have used HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now in JavaScript, we have actually implemented our logic, because JavaScript is nothing but the programming language. Now it's a programming language like C and C++. One more thing, C++ is the extended version of C language. It may have some limitations with C language. To improve it, or to add some additional functionality in C language, we can go with the C++. Same way in a JavaScript, JavaScript. If you want to add some additional functionality, then you can go with the JavaScript frameworks. Now the React.js, Angular are the some JavaScript frameworks. But as a beginner, I will recommend you co- first go with the HTML and CSS only, and then go with the JavaScript, and then according to your use, according to your need, you can choose any framework. Okay. Now we have done with our project. That's all from our side. Thank you.